want to tell you guys a story. It's gonna be kind of hard for me to get through it, and I'm probably gonna cry a lot, and I apologize ahead of time. But this is very important to me, and I want to put it out into the world. Okay, so the past week I have been on a literal a roller coaster of emotions. Like it's supposed to be a happy time in my life, and I don't want to be feeling like this sad in this moment, but like things have happened, and we can't always control things. Anyway, I think I'm gonna start from the very beginning. Um, on March 7th of 2016, I was still with Azric at that time, and that was our 1 year wedding anniversary. And earlier in the day, you know, I got a phone call from my parents saying that my childhood dog was not doing too well, and they were taking her to the vet. And I've had this we got this dog when she was a puppy. We had her my entire life. I mean, probably since I was maybe 7 or 8. So yeah, she was an older dog. She lived a pretty good life. But they took her to the vet, and it turned out like she was just not doing too good. They called me back later and they said, if you want to come say your goodbyes, you better come say them because she's probably not gonna be here much longer. The vet basically sent her home on a liquid IV um, medicine, to try to just keep her comfortable, and just basically sent her home to die. So Azric ended up getting upset about it, but that was my childhood best friend. So of course I'm gonna go say goodbye to her. Yeah, it was a pretty shitty time when it happened, but because we were getting ready to go out on a date, to celebrate our anniversary, and when I got the phone call, I was like, okay, come get me, and so I had to go all the way to Boonville. I ended up staying there for a few days, but Star, you know, um, she ended up passing away that night. So I'm glad that I went that day. On the way to Boonville, like mom or Haley or somebody had told me there was a stray dog that wandered up on the hill. Okay, when we lived in Boonville, we lived in the middle of the forest, in the middle of nowhere, on the top of the mountain. There were all kinds of people who brought stray dogs there, but they never ever came up on the mountain where we lived. They usually went down the road to the neighbor's house. The neighbor had a lot of stray dogs that she took care of. Um, but yeah, it was very rare that a dog would come up on the hill, to where we actually lived. And so, they were telling me there was a dog that came up on the hill. And they dad kind of had to shoo it off because they were afraid that it would hurt Star, and she was sick. They didn't, they kind of shooed it off, and they hadn't seen it again or whatever. So we get to Boonville, and I go straight down to the basement where Star's at, and I lay down beside of her, and I laid there and I pet on her for so long that I ended up falling asleep. And when I woke up, I was still holding her paw, but she was no longer there, you know. So I had to go wake everybody up and tell them the bad news. Me and Dad went out that night and dug her grave, and it was super hard because the property that we lived on had a lot of trees. There were so many tree roots that we had to cut through and chop through, and so it took us so long, and we were both exhausted and sore. And I just remember face planting the bed as soon as I walked in the house, and I was out. Like, and the next day I woke up and the doorbell rang, and it was Dad. He was sitting on the porch, um, And he said, like, I went out there. He was sitting on the porch smoking a cigarette. I went out there, and he he was like, "Hey, there's that dog I was telling you about. Like, it's back." And I was like, "Okay." And I looked out there, and like, I never ever believed in like love at first sight. But like, when I looked at that dog, like the immediate connection that I had with him, like I literally can't even explain it. Okay, so I like grabbed some, old dog, like some dog food that we had tried to give to Star the day before, and it was gonna go to waste anyway, so I took it and I eased my way out there, and he came right to me and like, he let me feed him, he let me pet on him, and then all of a sudden, like, Mom or Haley or somebody came out the door, and they kind of slammed the door a little bit when they came out, and it scared him, and he took off running down the hill, and I didn't have like shoes on, like I just had flip flops on and like some shorts and stuff. So I immediately ran into the house and like put some like walking shoes on and like some pants. And like Haley came in there. And was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm going after that dog. Like, like I'm not letting that dog go. Like, okay." So she was like, "You don't have to walk down through there. Like, just get in the car and we'll go down there and find him." And we made it to the bottom of the hill, and he was standing there. And as soon as like I opened the door up, he came and like ran into the car, and like sat in my lap, and like he was kind of timid with like everybody else, but like he let me like hold him. And like I said, like we lived like in the middle of the forest there, so like I didn't like the idea of like the dog like being just able to run around. I was afraid that he would like run off and get attacked by coyotes or something, because like we had a lot of coyotes and stuff around, bobcats and stuff like that. So like, um, I remember I actually like begged my mom and dad to like let me bring him in, and like they wouldn't, which like is whatever. Like I get it, but I remember like I was so afraid to leave him outside alone that I stayed out there for most of the night, like just laid back in like one of the folding like camping chairs, and like his entire body was like laid on me. And like he's not like a big dog, but he's not a small dog either. So like he was stretched out completely on my butt, like all on me, like using me as a bed. And I just like laid there and hugged him until I was about to pass out, and then I had to go in and go to sleep. So like. And then the next morning I was happy to see him still on the porch. So and I remember, obviously me and Ezra ended up divorcing later that year, but I remember I almost got divorced like then and there, because I called him and was like, "Hey, we have a new dog." And he was like, "Hey, no, we don't." And I was like, he's like, "You're not bringing that dog home." And I was like, "Oh, okay then. Well, then I'm not coming home." Like, I was like that, like dead set. I was legit not going to come home. Like, I was going to stay at my parents with this dog. And like I was just like sitting there outside, like what am I gonna name him? And like I just felt like it was like fate or some shit that he came there the day that Star died. So I named him Moon because I felt like it fit. And Moon has been by my side ever since then. Okay, like over 10 years of my life have been with this dog beside me, okay? And it sounds weird. It does, but like I tell everybody that this dog is my soulmate. Like I have never felt like such unconditional love from any fucking living like being ever. Like This dog is constantly like up my ass. Like he is at my feet 24/7. Like I'm constantly having to kick him out of the way when I have to get up off the couch and stuff. Like I love him so much, and he loves me. You know, like I've already mourned this dog like multiple times. There was one time in Boonville where our neighbor shot him with a shotgun, and he disappeared for like 3 days, and I thought he was dead. But he ended up coming home, and it was like the happiest. Like I was just so glad to have him back, you know, and then like later on he develops a really bad cough, and I found out that he has a collapsing trachea, and I cried myself sick over that, and like, but like for the most part he's been like a really healthy dog, and like had good energy and everything, and like last week he just like went downhill so fast, and I took him to West Liberty, and I paid like $250. They told me that he had Lyme disease, and they gave me medicine, and they said, oh, you should see improvements within 24 hours. Okay, so I gave him the medicine, and he just got worse, and so I decided I was going to take him to Appalachian Animal Hospital here in Hazard, because like I used to love West Liberty, but damn, they have over the past couple of years they have really like went downhill, I feel. Okay, and so like I took him to Appalachian. They did like blood work on him and everything, and his white blood cell count was like super 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 high, and like he had like multiple things wrong with him, like that West Liberty didn't even mention. And so I had to leave him there. I had to leave him, like, and that was the first time, like, other than when he disappeared for the 3 days, that he like had not been home. Okay, like that was the first time he's ever had to go to the hospital and do all that, like, and it broke my heart to like just have to leave him there, you know. So I went to see him the next day, and then the day after that, they were supposed to be doing like an operation because they said he had a bad tooth, and they were going to be removing the tooth, and they also did some like x-rays and stuff when they had him sedated, and they found like a big mass, and they did like biopsies on it and sent them off. I still haven't even got the results back from those biopsies. But when he came home over the weekend, he ended up like getting worse. He will not eat. He absolutely refuses food. And like, I'm just like filled with so many emotions, because like I went to the doctor today. I took him to the doctor yesterday, and Gene Smith told me I probably only have a few more days with him, because he most likely has like cancer, and then I went to the doctor today, and I found out that because like I'm high risk, I had to go back to the emergency room on Mother's Day because my blood pressure got really high, and because like I'm having so many issues, they want to go ahead and induce me. And so I found out today that I'm gonna be like giving birth like on Friday, which is like 3 days away. And like I should be excited for that, but like I feel so sad that like I can't be excited, and that in turn is making me feel guilty. And I'm just like, literally, I don't know how to get off this roller coaster of emotions. I'm struggling really bad right now, so like, I haven't really talked to anybody. I have like kind of ignored everybody's messages because I'm just dealing with so much right now. And like, I just don't know how to bring like life into this world while I'm like watching my best friend die.